People have using the word thermoform recently, but
we have a proprietary way of doing it.
For me personally, the differences I've found is kind of
Let's talk about why we're really here, and I think everyone's very excited. We got some new equipment coming out, and we got some special guests here to showcase them. Let's bring out our first guest who can tell us a little bit more about the paddles too. Oh, big surprise! Oh. We have another guest to introduce another paddle as well. And one more guest, and our newest team member of Team JOOLA as well. All right, so the paddles that we have, we're going to introduce here. The first is the Ben Johns Perseus. It comes in a 16 millimeter and a 14 millimeter. So you're going to notice a bit more pop on these paddles. Technology-wise, between these paddles, they're actually the same, but there's going to be slight shape differences. We're building upon the Hyperion and Solaire line. All the technology there, we absolutely love, and all we want to do is continue to improve it. So from the Hyperion, it's the same reactive core. So it's the smaller cells that makes it a little bit, it's denser and it plays a little bit fast. We're still using our Carbon Flex 5 surface. And I think the biggest difference between the Hyperion and the Solaire, you'll notice, is the shape. So this is a sweet spot, optimized shape. It gives more feeling, and it's just a bigger sweet spot as well. But that's the technology behind these paddles. And one other thing I forgot to mention is the grip. The grip here is not the ridge grip that people have experienced before between the Hyperion and Solaire. It is a smoother and tackier grip. One is 5 1/4. This is typically 5 1/2. And Collin, do you want to talk about why you decided to go with a handle that's a little shorter?
Yeah, so mostly maneuverability. So I'm also going from a slightly longer paddle to a 16x8 because it's more maneuverable. So back in the day, I used to play singles, and I don't do that anymore. So I figured, why not go to something more maneuverable, a little bit bigger sweet spot width-wise, and with that, you don't really need quite as much space as what he wants for singles, just more flex. That's more specific to a singles paddle. So for me, I can still get 2 hands on here, and it just feels more maneuverable overall.
So it's a shorter handle that you use.
Yes.
shorter handle, shorter overall.
With your 2-hand grip.
Yeah, with the 2-handed grip, at least for me, I could still get both hands on there pretty comfortably. So 4 and 5 1/4 is what I play with now.
And 16x8 and
16.5 by 7.5.
so not a big difference, but
Just half an inch.
just
Half
what
an
you
inch.
want it.
Half an inch is a whole world difference.
No comment.
people have using the word thermoform recently, but we call it hot pressed. It's the same methodology in manufacturing, but we have our different way of doing things. So some of the issues that we've all seen in paddles recently, knock on wood, but we don't expect that to happen with ours.
And so the smaller honeycomb prevents the crushing of the core. Is that right? Or is
not fully technically, but
okay.
Yeah, it's
Can I
two
run with that? I can run
different.
with that, right?
It's completely 2 different things.
Our paddles have been thermoformed, but we have a proprietary way of doing it. And I think that's why you've seen way more cases in certain manufacturers than us you don't hear that too much about JOOLA paddles, and that's because of this dude and our material science engineer who have really examined the manufacturing process.
And is that the adhesive? You called it carbon charged, or what was the?
Yeah, we have an additive. Even before we introduced this additive as well, the charged carbon technology, just the Hyperion Solaire didn't have that, right? And you don't notice that many cases at all. It's very rare of the whole delamination issues and so forth.
And for me, it was mostly a personal choice. I wouldn't say one is strictly better than the other. It's definitely like a personal preference kind of thing. For me personally, the differences I've found is kind of when you're hitting straight on like a ground stroke, the round version, almost like a tennis style stroke. People seem to really enjoy that for kind of the rounded shape. This shape I'd say is a little better especially when I'm using wrist on like an extension and I'm hitting not near the sweet spot really, I'm hitting it more near the edge of the paddle, whether that's out here or even in the corner. When you combine that with kind of some wrist, I feel like the ball is on the paddle a little longer. So I personally just enjoy it more for especially shots on full extension, whereas kind of when you just have the shot lined up, it feels very similar, but on extension, that's where I personally prefer this.
Are the grips the same diameter on the 14 and the 16?
They're not, because just the thickness is slightly smaller.
If I were to open up the face of these paddles, are the honeycomb always positioned in the same direction, or is that just a randomness?
It's typically the same direction. Yeah. In the manufacturing process, it's usually laid in the same way.
And by removing the arrow curve, does that make it structurally stronger and less likely to?
It's about the same structure. It's just because you have now a bigger surface. The sweet spot feels bigger too. Yeah.
I'll cut that out.
Okay, you're like 10 minutes into the video. There's probably like 20 minutes left or so. The rest of the video is a bunch of really good interviews. Before we get to that, I do want to announce a giveaway. Everyone at JOOLA, like Tom and Richard and their entire team, were like super generous, and they gave us a bunch of cool stuff. They gave us like this hat and they gave us this bag. And the thing about all this stuff is that I can't wear this hat. My head is too big. I won't even get into it. And this JOOLA duffel bag, really nice. It's got a shoe compartment for your sweaty, smelly feet. Yeah, really nice duffel bag. And I already have so many bags. Anyways, I need to give this away because I have way too many bags. My mom is a hoarder, so it freaks me out. I'm sorry, Mom, but I want to give this away because I have too many bags. I don't like holding stuff, so I'm gonna give this away. Anyways, if you want to enter in the giveaway, all you have to do is comment in the video your favorite part from the video, and then screenshot that comment and make sure that your username is showing, and then DM me on Instagram at buildingpickleball, and just send me a DM, and then similar to the last giveaway, I will do a raffle, and then I'll pick the giveaway winner, and then I'll announce it in the next video. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. And you play with black. You guys were just like crashing, and you were driving the ball and crashing out. Like, this is like the part that no one sees the call. Yeah, no one fucking sees it. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. And then when you're like playing with other people besides them, you get played. Then you went back and played on the right. It's like, I mean, I enjoy this. I also really enjoy it when you were like on the left side. It's awesome. Well, thank you. You know, it's not expecting from this event. People seeing that you're now a JOOLA athlete. Sponsored athlete, player, you're a representative of the biggest brands. I feel like you're getting the platform that you deserve. That I just think it's the platform that you deserve. No shade against Electrum, but now you have like a much larger reach. You get to do things with your brother, which you're already doing that, but now it's like very like in sync. Walk me through what that process was like, making the decision, and what you're thinking about when Electrum for your contribution.
Yeah, certainly Electrum was a great sponsor for me, and I wish them all the best moving forward. And it was a tough decision in certain ways, but ultimately I decided JOOLA was who I wanted to go with. Obviously my brother's already with them, so I got to know them, and I had a really good experience with people over there, and I think that having a great team around you really makes you that much better. And of course, there's some unique things that we can do. Me and Ben being on the same team now, the JOOLA team, we can do a lot of really fun stuff. And certainly as far as the paddle goes, the paddle technology, they're always looking at innovative. So to me, that was really what drew me to JOOLA more than anything else. And of course, having an international presence is part of that. I really love that they have a vision for how to expand when pickleball goes global, and it's already trending in that direction. But once it goes international, even bigger, I feel like JOOLA is supposed to be the international superpower when it comes to pickleball.
Dude, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. Just like the international audience and reach. You mentioned the paddle is like a big piece. Like, you didn't have that opportunity to find your own. So now you have that. Tell me more about your thought process of the paddle.
In the paddle, so I'm definitely known to be somebody who plays a little bit more defensively, more calculated. So having a paddle where I have the confidence to absorb what's coming at me when I see fit to block or whatever it might be. So something that's stable, maneuverable, and that's sort of what led me to developing this 16 by 8 because before I was playing with more of the elongated shape. And I had been thinking about going to something a little bit shorter and wider for a while, but when you have success with a certain paddle, you're sort of tied to it. You don't really want to change. It takes some time, but obviously I'm changing paddle manufacturers now, so I'm going to be changing paddle regardless. So I thought that this would be the perfect time. I've been wanting to for a while to go to the 16 by 8, and then I'm keeping the 5 1/4 handle so that I have room for the 2 in the back end. But at the same time, it's very maneuverable in tandem with the head being a little bit shorter, a little bit wider. I have that nice big sweet spot. I'm still going with a 16 millimeter cord so that I can absorb, and then it's just about weighing it up to whatever specifically suits my game. So I couldn't be more excited, and definitely is about me and Ben. We play better when we're tall, and that's not to say that you let people run you over. I mean, if you're faced with a bully and he wants to try to bully you, I mean, you punch him back in the nose if they're asking for it. But at the same time, if that's going to make you play worse, you got to know when to draw the line and when to pull back a little bit. So I think that certainly experience in other sports has helped with that. But our parents made sure we knew that playing fair was important. Having respect for your opponent, playing with sportsmanship, those are all things that were of the utmost importance, more than winning. So just because you won a match doesn't mean that you did a good job. And trying hard, all this stuff that is under the banner of professional, we really try to uphold that. And certainly there will be times where emotions are high in a match, and you might not live up to that, but that is what we certainly attempt to do.
Yeah, you hear that in a lot of interviews of other players, like Collin is the most supportive player when you're not playing like Ben, or even on like the big side. A lot of female players like Collin's the most supportive person. It's like that's great to hear because you guys are at the top. You set a huge example, and you guys are definitely role models for people, and that's awesome to hear that like part of your sportsmanship and like winning is more of like not like it's not as prioritized as how you can the experience that people get from winning play.
Yeah, because if you show respect, win or lose, you can walk up the court with your head held high. So to me, that's as important as winning. And if you have to win at a certain cost, I'm not interested in doing that. And I think we can win just fine by showing respect and playing sportsmanship.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get.
Need to be the first ones in the sport, more or less. Certainly at a professional level, I think that if you have an opportunity to do something, those special.
Yeah, you guys have definitely yourselves as something very like foundational in the program, especially in the late trajectory, which has happened like the past couple of years. So I appreciate everything you guys do and setting a good example to move forward with for everyone to get into the sport, and super fucking excited. You're part of JOOLA, and you're gonna have a lot more opportunities to do things like show more than who you are on the person before. So really appreciate it.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Sweet. Motive. You good? You need anything?
I'm ready to go.
You need water, snacks?
I'm good.
Alright. Alright. I cannot.
I know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we got to see like the new paddle. We haven't even talked about that yet, but like then that's Collin. He's now part of JOOLA. He has his as well. Now you have your own. So like, what were you using before? This Reach Select?
Yeah, I'm shooting the Solaire.
Oh, you want to talk about this paddle thing?
Sure, I'll say a bit. It's kind of similar to the Solaire and Hyperion. The main ad, they've done some things to make they have changed the carbon fiber. It's all too techy for me. The main things I can say, it's more powerful, still just as responsive, even more so on anything soft. And it's very maneuverable. It's very lightweight, and they've really embraced a philosophy in which the grip is also very small. So if you want a heavier paddle, you can add weight to it. If you want a bigger grip, you can add an over grip, add multiple over grips. But I really like it. It's very lightweight, very maneuverable, similar shape, big sweet spot, and I'm really excited for everyone to try it. This is 14 millimeters, Collin's is 16, so that will give you a little less pop, a little more forgiveness, but I need a little bit less than that than Collin, a little more deadly, accurate, and precise. So yeah, I'm excited for everyone to give it a try.
Sweet. Oh, awesome. Your mom put out some sick apparel.
Picklepeacock.com.
Picklepeacock.com. Yeah, really appreciate your time. Thanks for
Yeah,
doing
of
this. And
course.
congrats on getting your own like signature paddle. It's really
Woo!
Yeah. Sweet.
Buy it, boys especially. Buy it.
There you go. Jack Sock, she's talking to you.
That would be funny. That would be sick. I would love that. He could beat me with my own paddle, and I would say like, thank you.
Sweet. Thanks, Anna. I really
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Holy crap. Thank you. This is sweet. Not that you're anywhere close to your career, but if you like look back on your career, we want people to remember what you want to.
It's a good question. I don't think that's something that can be super controlled, especially because pickleball is such in its infancy. I think in the long-term future, I will probably be looked at as akin to other sports, whether like Wilt Chamberlain in basketball, right? He was great for his time. You don't really have a comparison to today's players, so I might be looked at as a sort of like that. What I would want that I helps the game, especially the pro forward side, because that's been definitely a primary impetus to me in a lot of ways. I want the pro tour to succeed, I want them to do really well, and I want the pro players to do really well. That's definitely somebody that helped pro players better and made being a pro pickleball player more viable. I think being remembered for that would be great. And then basically the pro tour is always having developments. Whether it was recently better paddle rules or where are we going with these things, maybe what kind of coverage are we getting? There's always stuff that's all about, there's always next steps to take and get a little bigger and better. Sometimes it's something, the tour can do consulting saying this is what the players need. Other times it's like, hey, you're probably doing this wrong, this is hurting the players, let's make this right. So it can really take shape in a lot of different ways. And the ultimate thing to kind of keep in mind is whatever's best for the players is probably best for the team.
Speaking of like paddle tech, you just released the Perseus, super exciting. Like people had seen the prototype and they had no idea like what it would actually look like, but it looks great. They looked at a little bit. What was like most important for you throughout the aspect of like designing that paddle?
Yeah, so I think Hyperion, great paddle, enjoyed playing with that. But one thing I wanted to improve and kind of upgrade was, for me, I think it's very important to be able to control the directions of shots, especially with my wrist while on an extended reach, like full stretch, reach, moving quickly, unstable positions, basically the ones where you're most likely not in the center of the paddle.
anymore. Sometimes I'd be the purpose of not being in the center. I'd be using the head of the paddle for more whip or flex or reach or whatever. And kind of the different shape that we went to is optimizing that. So I definitely never felt more control over compromising.
Sweet. You can speak to your 11-year-old self. What would you tell him?
Enjoy the time that you have doing what you're doing now. I look back on my childhood, and not that the years right now are not good in any way. They're great, but my life was very simple as a kid. I didn't know how simple it was, and now look at that. God, those were the days. That was so fun.
Super long period.
Yeah, so I'd say enjoy the childhood. Getting to know those.
Yeah, enjoy the free lunches. Awesome, man. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know you're sick and with the weather, so I really appreciate you doing this, man.
No problem.
Sweet.
You say you came from playing MMA?
Yeah, I was training out. YOLA, was it started in 1950?
Yeah, 1952. It was a German company. It's been known to be one of the best table tennis companies in the world. We had sponsored the Summer Games in 1996, 2000, and 2004 as official table.
Gotcha. Why, when you were brought on as president, sure you probably had a lot of other opportunities that you could have pursued. Why YOLA?
So in 2006, that's when we decided to become their distributor. It was a partnership. They were going to sponsor our events, and in turn, they needed someone in the U.S. to help represent their brand. So when we took it on, YOLA was nowhere here, and a lot of the equipment mix was missing to be able to reach the American consumer. So we started from the sourcing level and built up products for the U.S. market. And as we did that, we were able to grow the business to be larger than the German business. And so over time, the owner there was getting to be a little older and he was ready to retire. And we were the best choice to acquire them. So in 2019, we acquired the YOLA brands from Germany.
So what company were you a part of before?
So we were here at YOLA North America originally, and the current name is called Sports Squad. We also do game room products and some other like foosball, air hockey, those type of products as well. But YOLA is our primary business.
What did it mean to you to be offered that opportunity to take on the German side of YOLA and just the organization as a whole?
It was very exciting. I think we had a lot of ideas and vision for what we felt could be the YOLA brand to be even stronger and better. And the opportunity to take over the global brand gives us a lot of opportunities, just like what we've done with Pickleball. And us entering the Pickleball market has been just amazing. We absolutely have been super excited about what we've been able to accomplish here.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. You guys came in, was it 22?
Yep, last year, April. Yeah.
22. The things that you guys have accomplished, and of course there's a lot of the obvious stuff, right? You signed the number one player in the world, and then you have also the hottest paddle on the market, and you've built a reputation around that. You've also sponsored a lot of the top players. But it's also from things I've heard from other people, when I talked to Jorge Badajan, who owns the Pickler, he's yeah, we got a partnership with YOLA, and they're going to be providing the paddles and some of the gear. Yeah, you guys have accomplished so much from being an outsider to a degree. I don't want to say beating out the legacy brands, but when you look at the legacy brands, you're why would they able to offer this to the community? So you guys are doing it in a very impactful way, and it's very intentional. It's very awesome to see because it's not you're just trying to take over the sport, and you're doing it with good intentions, which is awesome to see. What are you most excited for YOLA in the upcoming year and upcoming years?
Yeah, definitely. What you talked about is not just about selling the paddle. We look at ourselves more than a paddle company. We feel like we want to be immersed in sports, and there's so many different parts of it, and we want to be able to support wherever we can help out with. So, partnerships with clubs has been a huge, exciting part for us. Partnership with Lifetime. Where do people start to play? And those are the places we want to be involved with. What I'm most excited about JOOLA is that we just got started. I think we feel like it's only been a year, and we've had some great partnerships with players, with associations, with influencers like yourself. And I think it's so exciting to see a sport grow as fast as it has been. So definitely, we just feel lucky to be part of it.
Yeah. I think the sport is also very lucky to have you guys a part of it, because I feel like you have elevated a lot of expectations, right? Like the paddle, but also the way that you treat players. Like you brought on, I don't know who started it. It doesn't really matter who started it, but I feel like you guys made a really big impact when you signed them. You didn't just sign a number one player. You signed a bunch of people who might not be the best player, but they have a huge impact in their community.
Right.
And like you said, connecting with clubs and connecting with people who are influential in different social media mediums, which is great to see, right? And I feel like it inspired other brands to do the same. Oh, well, they're doing this a different way. How do you, when you say supporting players, how do you, how do you do that? Aside from financial.
Yeah, obviously financial support helps, but one of our CMO, Tom Wynn, he's always advocating to just, that we're all family. Whatever they need, whatever support, we're there to help them. And, if it's, whether it's something at a tournament where they just need to grab a drink, those are little things that we're there to support them if we're there. So we've been traveling to a lot of these tournaments and kind of supporting them wherever we can. So we definitely have more of a family perspective towards our athletes, and they're really part of our family.
That's really cool to feel, and just for you to say, I don't know if it necessarily comes from the fact that you've born, raised, and lived in Maryland, but I feel like Maryland, they look out for their people in a lot of ways, and they kind of keep it low key, right? If you were maybe a corporation or a company from another big city, it might have a different perspective or a feel. And when I met Tom, man, I met him at MLP, and I honestly didn't even recognize him. I was standing watching, and he's just "Hey man, are you Brian?" I was "Yeah, how do you know me?" And he said we had met years ago back when I was doing MMA, and we just knew the same people who ran in the same circle. Yeah, and the way he treated me was like I was some JOOLA athlete. He's "Yo, just come into the players tent with me, grab some food," and he gave me a vision paddle, and it that combined with when you talked about how partnering up with Lifetime, you want to be at the places where people are starting to play pickleball. It formed a very memorable experience for me. I'll never forget that. And Tom also looked out for me. He's just when I talked about the idea about building pickleball, he's well, I was talking about to kind of validate my idea, because that's ultimately what I was looking for. But instead of validating, he's just dude, just give it a try. Because he had worked on similar projects on his own, developing an app and all that. And he's just dude, you'll never know unless you just try it. And I credit him with a lot of the reason why I was able to start what I'm doing now, which is super cool.
Yeah, I think the people are what make the company who JOOLA is today. And I think it's important for us to find people that are wholesome and really personifying what our brand is about. So we have 140 some employees now worldwide, but we still have that entrepreneurial spirit and that feeling that we want to connect to everyone in the sport on a personal level. So I think that's kind of different than maybe some other brands or other sports or even sizes of companies, but no matter what, I think for us, it's that personal connection that we can make with everyone.
Where did that come from?
Again, scrappiness in the table tennis community. I mean, we used to go and visit table tennis clubs all over the country, and we weren't the top brand at that time, and we just made relationships. And who knows if a relationship will become a partnership in the future? But we made a huge amount of friends, and we felt like this was the best way for us as a company to really get to know everyone else. So you know, and over time, you know, things change and we have opportunities.
Yeah. Before